recycling department. Everyone here okay? If you can't hear, definitely sorry, you definitely heard that interference. But so I work within the waste department of the City of Whittlesea. But part of the waste portfolio includes stormwater, other waste waters, recycled water, and even it's stretching down to potable water. So gradually, the stormwater portfolio is being transformed into all waters, and that's reflected. Currently, we've got a stormwater management plan, but next year and the year after, we're going to probably publish an integrated water management plan. So the perspective is definitely going just from stormwater into all sorts of waters, and that's recognition of some of the troubles and issues which we had during the last drought, the Millennium Drought, where sports fields particularly were affected within the municipality, and also open areas or open parks, or open spaces technically. So during the Millennium Drought, we had lots of problems with irrigating sports fields. At one point, we could irrigate no sports fields. We invested in stormwater harvesting, which was one option, and then gradually during the drought, we were able to. I think only 1 in 4 sports fields was irrigated. But today I'm going to be showing you, this is the Mernda estate. It was established roughly in 2006, so it's approximately 10 to 12 years old. We've got some wetlands over here which we're going to have a look at, but first we're going to have a look at some rain gardens. The catchment is approximately 600 hectares. So we have the wetlands, which the wetlands are about 1.5 hectares in size, and they service 600 hectares of catchment. But the first thing we'll have a look at, sneak peek, will be the rain garden. So we'll just go for a quick walk.
No dogs. I saw one kid. One dog. Where?
Actually, I might show you this just really quickly. Sorry. These are, we've had some rain today, so the other day it wasn't quite wet, but this is some of the outputs from the rain gardens. The rain gardens are over here, and the water quality here is actually really quite good. The water will move down that way. The Plenty River runs parallel to Plenty Road here, approximately 1 kilometre further that way, and that's obviously the outfall. So this is only a small outfall. The bigger outfall is obviously where the wetlands are. So, sorry. No. Turn this off a bit.
这真走好快！对啊，我走这么快，我们是迟到了。这老师走这么快，妈呀！因为他想下班，我们也要跟着这样走吗？有。
Testing, right. So this is one example of a rain garden. There's 40 rain gardens very similar to this in this particular catchment here. This catchment is around about 11 hectares. 11 hectares with 40 rain gardens. Each rain garden costs between $10,000 and $15,000 to build, and the average cost or maintenance cost per year is around about between $1,000 and $2,000 per hectare of. So if we look at per hectare of treated area per annum, it's around about $2,000. That's the cost. So you'll have to do the math on each individual rain garden. By comparison, if we look at the wetlands over there, the annual cost per treatable area of hectare is only about $100. So it's $100 to treat each hectare per annum versus $1,000 to $2,000 for rain gardens. The reason why rain gardens are chosen is because this particular catchment couldn't be routed through the wetlands. In an ideal world, we would have done that. We would have routed this particular catchment through the wetlands, so we only need one treatment area. But in this case, we couldn't, so we had to invest in rain gardens. They also, one of the initial problems we had with these rain gardens, they all had to be reset. when they were first put in there, they weren't protected. So when there was development, we ended up with a lot of silt coming into the rain gardens and blinding the surface layer. So it all had to be dredged up, new plants, etc. Now the way these rain gardens work is most rainfall events are quite small. You probably experienced today, just small spatterings of rain. The rain will come in. This bed here is around about 50 centimeters in depth. It's a sandy loam type material. It's quite allows for the infiltration of water. Water to pool. Water can pool in here up to about 20 centimeters if it has to, but then it'll just slowly filter down. The normal maintenance regime is to remove leaves, other litter material which collects in here. So when rains come, most of the waters will first come into here and seep through. If it's a particularly heavy downpour, then this will fill up very quickly and the water will be diverted and go into one of the side entry pits, which you can see there. And obviously there's no treatment. But this acts a little bit like a first flush. When the rains first come, water will come in, mostly rubbish from the street, and also contaminants will collect here. In the longer term, there'll be a build-up of contaminants, not so much the leaves and organic material, because that breaks down quite rapidly, but heavy metals particularly will build up here. And perhaps oils to a certain degree, but more heavy metals. So what typically happens to the regime with Melbourne Water, or in this case, we have to manage this because the catchment is so small. So this is only local government jurisdiction now. We'll probably in 10, 15 years time, or let's say another probably 10 years, we may have to dig up this material. The heavy metals are likely to be high, so we'll have to dispose of this in an appropriate way. So it'll be regarded as toxic waste. It will have a certain level of toxicity. The heavy metals mainly come from brake pads and from car tyres. So I look at industrial pollution, both industrial estates and also in urban areas or residential areas, and cars are the biggest culprit. In addition to that, if people use fertilisers, pesticides, that runoff also comes in here as well, but it won't necessarily stay or just wash through eventually. The idea is that the bacteria and also the root systems and the plants living in these in and on these rain gardens are very good at capturing sediments and other fine materials and just locking it in. Also nitrogen, which is a common pollutant which we have, again as an urban runoff, is quite readily treated through these rain gardens as well. So it's very effective. If we compare the quality of the water leaving a rain garden compared to the quality of the water leaving a wetland, it's 10 times cleaner leaving a rain garden. But having said that, the cost, the overall maintenance cost and establishment costs of rain gardens are probably a little bit too expensive. In all these new estates, we typically, in the recent past, a lot of rain gardens were established. I forgot count of how many we have in the municipality, but it's in the hundreds. Actually, it's an excessive amount, because when we did the costing, so Melbourne Water give us indications of how much it costs, the maintenance costs for rain garden versus wetlands. We've got an excessively high maintenance budget. So our maintenance budget at the moment is probably about $500,000, but with all the water-sensitive urban design treatments, such as including rain gardens, which we have in the municipality, we probably need a budget close to $2 million, and that's not reflected. I don't think we're going to get that money. So long term, we just got to wait and see what will happen to all these rain gardens. Does anyone have any questions in relation to rain gardens per se? I'm happy to qualify anything. Our preference is we'd rather have fewer rain gardens and only rain gardens where it's absolutely necessary, mainly because of cost. And even from a public standpoint, few people really understand what the rain gardens are here for. They don't understand they're here for water purification. We get much more amenity and better understanding from wetlands, where people can have walking tracks around the wetlands. You can see the dog off-leash park just nearby. We've got playgrounds as well, so we're happy to invest in wetlands, even if people don't understand the true purpose of wetlands. A lot of people just think it's there because it's aesthetically pleasing, or it was always there. But in fact, that was made by us, or man-made. I don't want to use the word man-made, but made by people. So rain gardens detract in that sense. Also, if you park your car on the side of the road, it's hard to get in and out. That's another, and you can't plant any trees here. So whereas with wetlands, there's some sort of additional amenity. Here we miss out on tree planting. There's tree over there, but no tree here. Any other questions about rain gardens? One last point is jurisdiction. So I think the limit is about 40 hectares. So if a catchment, I think it's 40 or 60 hectares. If a catchment is below that, then it falls under local government jurisdiction. If it's above that, it falls under Melbourne Water jurisdiction. And that just means who pays for the maintenance and ongoing care for that particular water treatment. So if we look at the wetlands over there, it services a catchment of 600 hectares. So it's definitely that's Melbourne Water. Whereas because this catchment is 11 hectares, it's definitely local government. But if you look at the annual costs, even though this is 11 hectares, just as a rough figure, the cost of maintaining just this small area is the same annual cost as maintaining those wetlands. Sorry. So that's because of the larger cost of the maintaining rain gardens. Okay, we're going to walk now to, we've got an aquifer under that park there. There's one dog in there. It looks like a friendly dog. It's a dog. Oh yeah, this is a dog. Yeah. So just watch where you're stepping. If anyone has any hesitations about being in a park with dogs, they tend to be friendly, but you never know. I think we'll... Yeah. We've only been there for about 5 minutes, okay? So... A few meters underneath us. It's not a hole in the ground. It's actually, it looks more like a riverbed with a fine sandy material. We say it's alluvial. It's the remnants. It's the got some cockatoos. It's the remnants of the Plenty River. So many thousands of years ago, tributaries of the Plenty River would have come along here. Since then, it's been covered up. Can everyone hear me? It's been covered up by soil, obviously. Now, we drilled some boreholes underneath here. The aquifer is approximately about 2 meters in thickness. There's bedrock underneath, and there's clay above. It has a storage capacity of around about 30 megalitres. So, and it's quite saline. It holds, the salt content is about 3 grams of salt per litre. To give you a comparison with salt water is about 30 grams of salt per litre. So it's about 1/10 of the saltiness of salt water. Now the way it works is we harvest stormwater, treated stormwater from the wetlands. We pump it down into the aquifer, 40 metres underground, and that starts to displace the salt water. So we have these plumes of sweet water moving up that way and down that way. And that allows us to gradually, by pumping sweet water in or fresh water, and then pumping out successively, we can gradually sweeten the water. So if we pump in, let's say, 30 megalitres of sweet water in, we might be able to get about 15 megalitres of that sweet water back again. So it's quite a good return. Now, to give you an idea of cost comparisons, we installed a 3 megalitre underground storage tank close to the Melbourne markets, and that cost us $3 million. This is a 30 megalitre equivalent storage tank, roughly, and it only costs us less than $1 million. So, and also it doesn't affect amenity because obviously the tank is, the aquifer is beneath us. So that's why there's a lot of interest in using aquifers. In Ballarat, they potentially have an aquifer which has got the potential for 1.5 gigalitres of storage capacity. And aquifers are used extensively in Perth and also in South Australia for water storage. And they can be used for anything from treated stormwater as a source of water to recycled water as well. So you can even get recycled water and pump it in there. The purpose for this particular aquifer is to eventually irrigate some sports fields which are planned to be built just over the hills over there. So normally when we look at estates, we look at in a broader context. We look at transportation. We look at future sports fields. We look at water treatment options, and we look at them as a whole, so we can better place a few things together. So obviously it makes sense to plan to build a sports field close where you've got a water source, particularly as we're going through droughts, or we can anticipate droughts. So The aquifer, typically we can pump out around about 5 litres